Tonight, we are digging deeper into the police department that responded to the shooting but didn't make arrests. A grand jury once described the Glynn County Police Department of having an ongoing culture of cover-up. Faith Abube uncovered years of troubling details about the department.
The first time Ahmaud Arbery's mother learned someone had killed her son, it was the Glynn County police officer on the other end of her cell phone.
He went on to say that Ahmaud had been involved in a burglary, and in the midst of the burglary, Ahmaud was confronted by the homeowner. And during that confrontation, there was a tussle over the handgun, and Ahmaud was shot and killed.
Wanda Cooper says she knew her son's character, but she also did not question what the investigator was telling her.
Because the way that I lived is if authority and they came and told you anything, you didn't question that.
But months later, that version of the story doesn't match an official police report and the multiple videos surrounding the deadly shooting.
That the video directly contradicted every statement made to the staff.
The case has put the troubled police department in the spotlight. The reveal has uncovered an internal investigation report, grand jury findings, and lawsuits against the department alleging corruption, a culture of cover-up, and abuse of power. The documents also allege false statements, tampering with evidence, influencing or intimidating witnesses, hindering arrest of one of their own, and destroying or not properly maintaining public records.
This is a department that is not necessarily following the rules and is kind of made up of a lot of rogue actors.
Darren Penn is an Atlanta attorney representing a woman suing the Glynn County Police Department for allegedly mishandling her daughter's domestic violence case. That daughter was married to a police officer in the same department.
They're going through a divorce.
He is not allowed in my house. This is not his house.
Mr. Corey Sasser, an incredibly violent and out of control police officer for the Glynn County Police Department.
The former Glynn County police officer killed his estranged wife and another man before turning the gun on himself in 2018. Penn says the officer's wife complained to the department repeatedly, but they failed to arrest the officer when it mattered, and he thinks that parallels what's happened in the Arbery case.
Just the overall hesitancy to do anything about it, to investigate them, to make any kind of arrests, to actually, at the end of the day, protect the public.
In February, 5 days after the Ahmaud Arbery shooting, the Glynn County police chief and 3 high-ranking police officers were all indicted on multiple criminal charges. They include having sex with confidential informants, violation of oath of office, influencing a witness, and a criminal attempt to commit a felony. Their case is related to a disbanded drug task force. A grand jury report also concluded, quote, there is an ongoing culture of cover-up, failure to supervise, abuse of power, and lack of accountability within the administration of the Glynn County Police Department.
It paints a very troubling picture of a police department that is not following procedures.
The department now has a new interim chief, and its former officer and DA investigator Gregory McMichael is now facing murder charges with his son, Travis McMichael.
Justice for all.
Public outcry has pushed the Arbery case into new hands, those of a special prosecutor in Cobb County, the DOJ, and the GBI.
And we are hopeful that that investigation will actually do a lot more than the original investigation to uncover the truth.
That was Faith Abube there. We reached out to the police department and the county manager about these findings. They have not responded. 11 Alive also uncovered records showing the suspect in this case, Greg McMichael, lacked training hours for his role as an investigator at the DA's office. Read more about this on the 11 Alive app.